Hi, welcome to Once Upon a Storytime with Miss Carrie. The story for today's felt board is Liz's Monster. This is Liz's room. Here is her favorite chair, her bedroom window, and her big soft bed. Liz is having a hard time going to sleep. Earlier in the evening, her mother and father took her to the movie. It had monsters in it, and now Liz can't sleep thinking about monsters. Scary monsters, monsters with 3 eyes, 4 arms, and blue fur. The more Liz thinks about monsters, the more frightened she became. She even began to hear noises coming from under the bed. They started out as little scratchy noises and got louder and louder. Finally, she couldn't stand it any longer. She got out of bed and in a loud voice said, "Whoever is under my bed, come out from there right now." And a monster climbed out from under Liz's bed. Liz was scared. It was a blue monster with 4 arms and 3 eyes, standing in her bedroom. As she stared speechless at the monster, she realized he looked even more frightened than she was. The monster looked so scared that Liz felt brave enough to ask, "What are you doing under my bed?" "You imagined me," the blue monster answered in a kind voice. She didn't know what to think. Did she imagine that monster? Liz was very puzzled, so she asked, "Just how did my imagination make you up?" "You made me up by thinking about monsters," said the monster. "Monsters aren't real. We come from people's thoughts. We live inside imagination." "Why, only people who imagine monsters ever see us. And when you imagine a monster, that monster gets to ask for one wish." "A wish?" said Liz. You aren't going to eat me up, are you?" "Oh, no," said the monster. "I wouldn't do that. I couldn't do that. Most monsters use their wishes to turn into something, like the wind or moving curtains." "Is that what you'd wish for? To just turn into nothing and disappear?" The monster lowered his head and whispered, "My wish is for you to be my friend and for me to stay here with you." Liz thought about that for a moment. "What would you eat?" she asked. Dust, sunbeams, and cookie crumbs," he said. Said Liz, "but where would you stay?" "Well, I'd live under your bed. I'm small enough to fit under comfortably. And I would be very quiet and I wouldn't bother you." "But what about when my dad helps me straighten my room? He always looks under my bed, and my room, Mom cleans down there. What happens when they see a living monster?" "Oh, they won't see me," said the monster. "Your parents don't believe in monsters, so they can't see me. There's no me when someone else doesn't believe in me." Liz was thinking the whole matter carefully when she noticed that the monster was crying. "What's wrong?" The monster sniffled and sadly answered as a big tear rolled down his face and splashed on his toes. "If you stop believing in monsters, that's the end of me." Liz wanted to promise the monster that she would never stop believing in monsters, but Liz couldn't forget what her mother had said on the way home from the monster movie. Her mother had told her that when children grow up, they stop believing in monsters. Now Liz was as sad as the monster. Then she had an idea. "Hey, cheer up," she said. "I may stop believing in monsters, but I'll never stop believing in my friends." The monster looked up. "You mean you really would be my friend and let me stay here?" Liz nodded her head and said, "Yes." The monster smiled his biggest smile and quietly slid back under Liz's bed. Liz yawned quietly and happily climbed into her bed. And just before Liz fell asleep, she heard the monster under the bed yawn a monstrous yawn and then softly whisper, "Good night, friend." Thanks for playing with us. Have a great day.